Welcome back, everybody. Today is July 1st of 2021, and this is episode 31 of What is on My Desk. So, welcome back, everybody. We're here for another one of my monthly model desk updates, and this is a particularly important video, anyways, in terms of an internal milestone, so to speak, as it is episode 100 on this channel. And I guess it's been roughly 2.5 years to get me to episode 100. So it has been amazing. I've been doing this for 2.5 years. It does not feel like it's been that long, but I guess time flies when you're having fun, as they say. But yeah, so this is episode 100. So for all of you out there who have been watching the videos, liking, commenting, subscribing, all of that, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you know anybody out there who you think isn't going to like this channel, by all means, please recommend it. Let them know. If you haven't already and you do enjoy what you're watching, please like and subscribe. Leave those comments down below. I do try to interact with as many of the comments as I can. And I do have quite a bit of new content coming out. I'll talk about that sort of at the end of the video, some of what I have coming out, what I have planned. Yeah, so here we are, episode 100. I can't believe it's been 100 videos already, but let's get swung over to the desk, take a look at what I got going on, and I'll give you guys some updates. But as always, my name is Sean, and this is Sean's Aviation. And just before we get into the video, something I should have been doing a lot more up till now, and that is just asking you guys out there, if you enjoy what you're looking at, if you like what I'm doing, go down below, click on the like page, subscribe to my channel, and by all means, please click on that little notification bell. If that way you guys get alerted when I do get more new content up. I usually try to do the What's on My Desk monthly update beginning of the month. And I usually try to get a video or a series of videos released by the 15th, the middle of the month. So whether that's going to be a tips and tricks video, or an aviation history video, or my time-lapse videos of the previous model builds that I've got done, or an air show video, or some of my new product review videos I'll be doing. So I want to try to get something posted by the middle of the month. So please, if you're enjoying this, subscribe, like, and click that notification bell. Let's move on to the video. So here we are back over at the desk, and I'm assuming, as you can probably tell by some of what you see sprinkled around here on the mat, I have been doing some sanding, and that implies that I have been puttying, and as you will see, I have been doing a lot of that. I have got progress to show you. That is the key. Previous couple of months has been not a lot of movement on these models. I have been had some more free time to sit down and do some work on these models, and I do have some progress to show you. However, I have only been working on 2 of them. So start off with the C130, and I will start with the wings, because I do have the wings glued together. There was a pretty nasty looking seam. You can just maybe see the hint of it here across the trailing edge. So I got 1 layer of putty on that now. It still has a little tiny bit of a ridge. There will be a little bit more putty and sanding needed, but I want to get a quick coat of primer on that first. I've also knocked down some of these raised panel lines. They were very, very thick. I got a massive sinkhole there. I just noticed it. There's another one there. I got to get some putty into those. The panel lines were pretty pronounced on this, so I gave the entire wing surface a quick hit with the sandpaper just to knock those down a little bit. I've also got the engine cowling sides cleaned up a little bit. You can see here, I haven't done all of them yet, but I have done as many of them as I can. Well, not. Basically, I forgot to do this side of this nacelle, but all the other ones are done. But there's a huge, massive step. You can probably make that out. That formed where the 2 nacelle halves meet. So I do have, I sanded them down, put a bit of putty on them, sanded them down again. For the most part, with my thumbnail, I can just catch the teeniest lip. But again, I want to get some primer, really get a look at where the issues are. I'm not going to put all that elbow grease into it to find out that it's all visual. The plastic is a really weird, I mentioned this before, it's darkened with age, so everywhere you sand it lightens up and is more white, and everywhere where the sandpaper hasn't touched tends to be a little bit of a darker beige or yellowy color plastic. So when you're looking in some of these gaps, it's hard to say what is what you're seeing as being an actual step, or what you're seeing is just the discoloration and a shadow in the plastic. So I need to get a shot of primer on this to get an even color coat across the entire surface, so I can tell what's an imperfection, what isn't, what's color, what's not. So that's the next step. Hit this all with primer and then go through and kind of spot pick out some minor issues and get those cleaned up. So both wings I've gotten that done and are ready for a coat of primer, and the fuselage is basically in the same condition. It is more or less ready to go. So as you can see, the fuselage halves have been glued together. I did get this seam knocked down again. There's a little bit of a lip here. All through here it's pretty much clean. You are seeing a shadow of color and paint in there. I'd like, again, hit that with a bit of primer, take a look at things. I also again knocked down a bunch of these raised panel lines, trying to get that looking good. The bottom has been cleaned up as well. You can see I got the rear doors glued in place. I'm not going to do too much puttying along these side pieces. I'm going to leave them pretty much how they were. The one area I did do, there was a spot here right where the rear fuselage ends and that door goes in. There's a bit of a lip here, and that's because I actually glued in a strip of styrene to fill in. There's a pretty massive gap there that just looked horrible, and I figured that is a nice, quick and easy way, and that little bit of a step is no worse than a step here or the step here or the step here. And because I'm not going to be doing too much work with this rear door, I figured that step is a clean looking step and it matches a bunch of the other shapes, so I'm just going to roll with it. Windows have all been inserted, masked off. I'm not sure if I had this done prior to the last video. I'm not going to go back and check. I'm just going to talk about it. So this is those side windows I used. I put in with some clear sheet plastic, cut it out, glued the plastic in, masked off where the search and rescue door would be, and then I puttied and feathered all of that into the fuselage. Again, it needs a bit of primer to pick out some issues. I can't tell right now because I've got dark plastic, light plastic, clear yellow, gray paint, putty. There's a lot of different colors and it's hard to see what is issues, what isn't. So this, once I get a coat of primer, I'll be able to clean up. I'm not going to worry about the wheelness wells at all. As I said, the wheels are going to be mounted partially retracted with the doors closing, so you're not going to see any of the detail up inside that wheel well. So I'm not going to worry about it. Same with the nose wheel well. I am going to clean up the bottom bit of this nose gear, the gear itself, the gear leg. I'm going to clean that up just a little bit, but it's going to be in a partially retracted situation with that rear door partially closed and the forward door partially closed. So you're not really going to see much in there, so I'm not going to do a lot of work. Moving on to the cockpit. The cockpit was a horrible, horrible fit. It was too narrow for the size of the fuselage, so both of these inner pieces were way down inside. So I basically had to bend the plastic a little bit and then glue one side in and then pull and glue the other side in, get everything lined up. There is some pretty massive steps here. I'm not sure how much you can see with the plastic, but in the camera I should say, but there's definitely like a solid millimeter step here on the fuselage. And what I do plan to do, again, once I get a bit of primer on here, I'm going to try to knock down that lip a little bit. I just have to be careful not to damage any of the clear plastic or do anything with the masking tape I have on already. So I'm just going to try to knock, once the primer's on, knock that edge down a little bit and just try to hide it. And then all along here I'll always be cleaned up. But again, I want to wait to get some primer on here and get a good look at things, and then clean up and pick out what I need to clean up. Now the big thing is, if you remember in the previous few videos I talked about this rear fuselage area, and there was a massive, massive short shot happening back here. I'll actually put the picture up here showing you what it looked like before I started. And here it is with the finished product. So once you start watching the time-lapse build, which you will be able to do once I have the final time-lapse build of this complete, you'll actually get to see the process of me putting all this together. But long story short, I ended up cutting out a section in here that was missing. I used this side as a template. So I traced it onto a piece of sheet styrene, cut it out, fit it in here. And then the upper half, then I cut out this rear section here. You can see how it's got the angle in it. So the front half I did, glued it in place. The back half I cut out, and at the same time I cut out this upper turtle deck again. I used this side as a template, cut out this side, and then I glued it all together, got it all in place and matched everything up. Then I went down the bottom. You can see here there's a couple of strips. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 different strips of plastic, and that's just trying to match this curve. And then this whole piece here is one solid piece, just like on the top, and I did a bit of bending to get everything to match, and then I stuck it all in, glued it, putty, cleaned it up. And then in here there was a gap, quite a thick gap, and I just used a little bit of sheet styrene. I just sandwiched a bunch into here, filled in the gap so that this wouldn't collapse, and then using a bit of super glue and a bit of putty, I just filled all that in and then sanded it all down. So it looks really good. Once you get the horizontal stab in place, oops, I got that backwards. Of course I did. Once you get the horizontal stab in place, you can see how well that all lines up. And obviously it still needs a bit of putty, but again, I don't want to do too much more until I have the rear stab glued in place and get this seam cleaned up and puttied, and I get a coat of primer on it. So the next step, so the wings are going to get a coat of primer. I'm probably going to shoot this with a quick coat of primer, and then once that is done, I will glue on these rear horizontal stabs and get this seam puttied, and that will also allow me to, while I'm working on this seam, I can clean up any of the other areas in here that need to be cleaned up, along with all of the rest of it. And then after that sanding is done and another coat of primer, I should be basically finished. So I'm going to do primer, clean up all of this, get these stabs cleaned in, get them all done up, get the wings done, and then once I'm happy with all of that, then I have to glue the wings on and get these seams cleaned up. And once that's done, that's 99% of the work on this done. So it's coming right along, it's moving good. I'm very happy with where I am right now. That's that. The P38 Lightning, the 2 booms, I have quite a bit done on that as well. Again, I can't remember how far this was at the last video, but they are assembled. The gear doors are glued in place as they are going to be retracted. I got the front inlet of both of the radiator oil cooler areas. The inlets are glued in. I got the front face glued on to the front of the nacelle, and then everything has been cleaned up, puttied, sanded, and blended. So both of these, as they sit, are ready for primer. I'm probably going to give the entire airframe a hit, just like I did with the C-130, and just knock down some of this raised detail. Some areas I had to sand all the detail off to do the blending, and I feel if I get most of the raised detail knocked down, it's going to be harder to tell the difference between where it has and where it hasn't been sanded off. So all of these, I'm just going to give it a quick sanding, knock down some of those high points in the raised riveting and panel lines, and then all of that will get a coat of primer. The fuselage itself is looking good. The cockpit has been assembled and put together. It's very basic. The instrument panel was a decal. I didn't even put that in because you're not going to see it. I have a pilot painted up. He's ready to go in. So the next step on here, I'm going to get the pilot glued in, get all the clear pieces glued into place, and get all of those cleaned up and seamed, get the masking done, and then this is ready as well for primer. So the upper and lower wings are glued together. I got the nose bays and the nose cone. You can see how much work I needed up in here to get all of that blended properly. It still needs a little bit of work. There's especially a pretty bad lip in here. That also needs a bit of work. So this here is pretty bad. But once I get a good coat of primer, again, I can get a visual for where the highs and lows are, and then get that sanded down. I'm also going to need to, so I did not insert the guns on the inside. My plan is to only have the barrel sticking out, but as you can clearly see, I don't know if you can, those are some massive, massive openings. So what I plan to do is I have some milliput. I'm actually going to jam the milliput inside of here, way down in there, to blank off the back of those, let that harden the way milliput normally hardens, and then drill a hole through the milliput that's exactly the diameter of the gun barrel, and then just glue the barrels into that hole. And then it's going to have just the gun barrel sticking out, and you won't have all of that massive holes, and it'll just look a little bit cleaner. But again, I'm going to do that step closer to the end after I have at least one coat, probably 2 coats of primer on here. I haven't done very much work along these seams yet, so I still have to clean up all of these seams. I have done a little bit of work in the inside here, did that while I was working in here, but again, I'm going to give these leading edges and a bit of the trailing edges, a quick knockdown sanding. Same thing with the booms. I'm going to give all of the raised details on the wings just a knockdown to try to take down some of that the highlights. And then a coat of primer. Do that. I want to prime everything at the same time. The first coat of primer, and then I can go through and poke away and finish off some of the details on this. And then once I'm happy with how everything looks, I can glue the booms on, and I can deal with those seams around the booms. And then, you know, a second layer of primer will get this basically in that pre-paint stage. And then the plan is, once I get both of those more or less assembled, with the C-130, get the wings and the tails glued on, and that kind of more or less final coat of putty. Same with the P-38, get the booms glued on, get all those seams cleaned up. Once that is done, I'm going to pull out the B-25 and the Battlestar Galactica Viper and get them to the same point. Those aren't going to take as much work. They're not as complicated. The B-25 for the most part is just some minor assembly, and then it's ready for paint. And the Battlestar Galactica is just glue the parts together, some minor puttying, mostly on flat surfaces. No complex real parts, and then it will be ready for paint. So once these are in that sort of final stage, I'm going to pull that stuff out, get those assembled, and then everything will hit the painting stage at roughly the same point. Now, that being said, all three models are going to be mounted on a stand. The Battlestar Galactica one actually comes with its own stand, but the C-130, the P-38, and that B-25 will all be mounted on a stand. So we're going to drill the holes, mount all that stuff up. I'll be doing that right before that kind of final paint stage. So that's where we are on the models. I don't really have much else to show you. There's no new products, no new books. It's been pretty slow. I have not been spending a lot of money recently, which is great for the bank account. It just means I don't have quite as much to go through with you on these videos. At least I had progress on the models. Now that being said, the one thing I did snag a new coin. And it comes from a coworker. It's actually the same coworker that I'm doing the C-130 for. He contacted me and said he had a lead on a new coin. Would I be interested in it? I said yes. So I got one. And this coin is actually relatively thick. I think it might be one of the thickest coins I have. But anyways, that being said, it is the 410 Squadron. Let's zoom in just a touch here so you guys can get a look at that coin. So it's a 410 Squadron coin, and I love that cutout. That's sort of that squadron crest, has the moon with the lynx in front of it, or the cougar. I'm very, very happy the way they did that with the cutout. It's also got the beautifully polished edge on it, and like I said, that's a thick, heavy coin. It's really got some weight to it. So this side is very close to where their patches. 410 Squadron, Cougars, RCAF, and then Death in the Dark. That's their motto, and it's a nice flat black background with the gloss and everything else. The other side, very cool. It's got their crest. Then across 410 Tactical Fighter Operational Training Squadron, 4-wing Cold Lake. The nice picture of the single seat CF-18 flying amongst the clouds. Get the glare off of there so you can see with the squadron crest here. And then down in here, it's a numbered coin, number 316. I don't know how many of these coins were produced, so I'm not entirely sure how far that number sequence goes. But it is at least a numbered coin, which is pretty cool. I'm always a big fan of numbered coins. I don't have very many of the numbered coins. So it is nice when you can get them. I think I might have maybe another 3 or 4 at the most of a numbered coin. So again, I don't know how many of these were made. If anybody out there does know how many of this style coin was made, leave it down below in the comment section. Let me know. But definitely even 316. Let's say they made 500 of them. You know, there's only 500 of these, so it's nice. Price, very decent price. I'm not gonna talk numbers, but price was not outrageous for what I got. So that is really the only thing I have to show you guys other than the model progress. Now, as my battery is very quick to dying on this camera because I haven't charged it in a few days, I'm going to quickly go over kind of where I got going on. So if you haven't seen yet on the channel, I'll put a link to it up here right now. I have the history of the RCAF Part 1, the overview history Part 1, which takes you from the pre-war squadrons up to the end of World War II. That video is done. It is up. It is live. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. It's about 40 minutes long. It took quite a bit of effort for me of research and putting all that together, but hopefully you guys enjoy it. Part 2 is scheduled to come out on July 15th. So that's going to be coming out soon. And I am started the process of getting the individual squadrons done. I actually have scripts for 400, 401, and 402 squadron written. I've started doing some of the recording on it. So I've started that process. I still have to finish that, do the audio work, and then go sit at the computer and, put it all together. But they are coming out, and I've done the groundwork for 403 Squadron. Now, that being said, there's 50 squadrons, and I've basically looking at the 4th unit I've just started, and I haven't even finished a video yet. So my plan is going to be releasing one of those videos, roughly one a month, moving on from here. However, there's going to be some other videos mixed in with that. As I said, I do want to get out to the Canada Aviation and Space Museum when it gets opened, get a few history videos filmed there of some of the artifacts they have in the museum. I have 2, possibly 3 air shows coming up. The potential one, early August, I have Thunder over Michigan. The air show is happening. It is going to be amazing. It's got an amazing lineup. My only issue is getting across the border. So as long as I can cross that border and get down there and get back without any crazy quarantine rules, then I will be attending that show, and you guys will get some video and some content and some really cool stuff out of that. That being said, I also have the London Air Show late in August, and then the Gatineau Air Show in September. So those 2 are a given because they are within Canada. I don't have to worry about quarantining or anything like that. So you'll get content from that, whether it just be videos or just some pictures with me talking about the show. It depends on what I manage to get over the course of the days I'm there. It's only me, and I'm usually only there for 1 day, so I don't get a lot of free time to get. I can't do photos and pictures, and my pictures are my priority. Unfortunately, that's my push. So we'll see what I get out, but at least we'll get some content for that. So if I have to put an air show video in on a month, then a squadron history gets bumped. So there's going to be some movement in that schedule a little bit. I'm still going to try to put out a few videos a month. We're talking about some more product reviews. I have at least, I believe the P38 review comes out later in July, and then I still have the B25 review that I can get up. Plus I can continue to go over those built models I have behind me on the shelf. Talk about some more of those. Probably start looking at some of the either the Royal Navy or some of the Royal Canadian Navy models I have. I haven't decided where I'm going with that, but those are very quick to film, very quick to get out, and I can get them on the website very quick. So that's kind of my plan. I don't have it set in stone. It's very fluid. It all depends on how much time I get to film, how much, that's basically it, how much time I get to film and edit. I'm very lucky that I managed to squeeze this in right now when I did. I got to head back upstairs and cook supper for the kids in a minute. That being said, I'm going to end it here. I still have to get this video edited and ready to go for the first. Thank you everyone for watching. As I said, please stay tuned. I got lots of cool content coming up, lots of good ideas, a lot of stuff in this head that I need to get out and get online. Yes. Thank you all for watching. If you did get this far in the channel, I appreciate it. Video 100 is, at least on the filming side of things, in the books. The editing will be done soon, and I'll get this up and running. So thank you everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching, guys, and as always, if you are interested in any of the content you see, you can access my website at www.seans-aviation.com. You can see all the latest pictures of aircraft and museums and the build logs of all of my current models and past models on that site. And if you're interested in any of this content, please click the subscribe button here on YouTube to follow more. Thank you very much, and see you guys next time.